Hello. Well, let's see if I have this on. There we go. Good morning. Good Sunday morning to you. And happy Pentecost for those who may not know. Today is Pentecost. We'll be talking a little bit about that going forward. It is good to see you here. It's good to feel the energy in the room. As always, thank you for wearing your mask. We really do appreciate that. We still are not passing the plate, but you will find a place for your offerings in the back table back there. Online, we thank you for being here too. We are Presbyterian Church of the Covenant in Greensboro, North Carolina. We're really thankful that you're with us. You can go to athinkingchurch.org and learn more about us there. You also can donate. We would appreciate if you made this a regular part of your Sundays, if you'd be willing to contribute anything, really. We're just trying to make sure we break even on these broadcasts so that we can keep doing it for you out there. But thank you for joining us. A couple of other notes. You know that we have been partnering with the Pulpit Forum of Greensboro to try to get some buses full to join the Poor People Campaign's Moral March in Washington, D.C. on June the 18th. Tomorrow is the deadline. If you would like to go and want a seat on the bus, I have plenty of free seats that I can offer to folks. There are flyers both in the back of what the march is about and also information about the bus trip and who to call so that you can be on the bus. You need to do that before tomorrow afternoon. I will be going there. That means that I'll be getting back very late that Saturday night. So you will have a very sleepy minister to enjoy, hopefully, that next Sunday morning. But I hope some of you might consider going, or maybe you know someone who would like to go and join us in that. I'm going to welcome Josh Watson. We're really glad to have you here. You can find out more online about him. We'll have it up a little bit later. Reverb Nation with, is it just Grand Ole Uproar?
The Grand Ole.
The Grand Ole
Yes,
Uproar.
sir.
You can find out more about him there. Encourage you to do that. I think you'll love their music. We will have local announcements at the end of this service. So just know after we stop broadcast, we're doing that. We'll also be having a called congregational meeting following those announcements. So please feel free to stay here. It's an opportunity for those who might be visitors or not actual members. You're welcome to be here for the meeting, but if you want an opportunity to slip out before the meeting begins during those announcements would be a great time. Finally, folks online, we'd love it if you would let us know where you're watching from. It's always great to see who all's joining us and what folks are tuning in from all over the world sometimes. So we'd really appreciate you doing that. With that said, let me begin with a reading. Today we're just going to have one reading. Like I said, it is Pentecost today. So we'll be having a Pentecost reading. It comes from the book of Acts, chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version. When the day of Pentecost had come, they were all together in one place. And suddenly, from heaven, there came a sound like the rush of a violent wind, and it filled the entire house where they were sitting. Divided tongues as fire appeared among them, and tongues rested on each of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other languages, as the Spirit had given them ability. May we add blessing and understanding to the reading of these words. I do now want to turn to Josh and ask you if you'd be willing to play us a song, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, after the last few weeks, I was sort of thinking about this song that I've written a good while ago, and I have an 8-year-old. Sort of the terror of the last couple of weeks. It's sort of interesting because, you know, you're not safe to go to the grocery store. You're not safe to go to school. So we're thinking about 10 more years of dropping my kid off and wondering what's going to happen every day. I was going to sing this song. Well, there's a lot of work left to do. There's a lot of work before we're through. If you're like me and you're ready to see this mean old world through. Well, keep your eyes on the prize, oh, it's sad but true. There's a lot of work there to do. This was sort of written during the George Floyd Black Lives Matter, so anyone, I think, is afraid and susceptible. Well, this week it will could use a little breeze. There's a lot of work left to do. Signs everywhere, read no justice, no peace. Well, there's a lot of work left to do. From California to the New York Island, well, there's a lot of work left to do. How can black folk live when they're too worried about dying? Yeah, there's a lot of work left to do. Well, there's a lot of work left to do. A lot of work before we're through. If you're like me and you're ready to see this mean old world through, keep your eyes on the prize, oh, this road ain't smooth, and there's a lot of work left to do. Picture Jesus on the main line, just shaking his head. There's a lot of work left to do. Seems like some of his children died, forgot what he said. There's a lot of work left to do. He said, love one another, Lord, as I love you. There's a lot of work left to do. What's so hard to understand? What's said or misconstrued? Well, there's a lot of work left to do. Well, there's a lot of work left to do. There's a lot of work before we're through. If you're like me and you're ready to see this mean old world through, well, keep your eyes on the ride, although the road ain't smooth, and there's a lot of work left to do.
Thank you for that, Josh. Really appreciate it. And yeah, obviously, there is a lot of work left to do. That's why I want to remind you again about this trip to DC, where we're going to be talking about all the work that needs to be done. Encourage you to pick up flyers back there and learn more about it. And remind you to sign up by tomorrow. Moving forward, here is the message for today. I'm entitling it Pentecost, Meaning from a Mostly Made-Up Story. Now, as I mentioned earlier, today is Pentecost. It's a day where Christians recount the story of the Spirit coming to the followers of Jesus 50 days after Jesus' tomb is found empty. And the Penta part actually means 50, Pentecost. And because I'm a Christian minister, and being that Pentecost is it's a pretty big day in Christianity. Some even incorrectly call it the birthday of the church. I'd like to spend a little bit of time today talking about the Pentecost story. And hopefully my take on this story will resonate with you spiritually, even if only in a small way, but I mean, hopefully it'll resonate with you a little more than just a small way. It's a wild and unbelievable story. As a matter of fact, to our very modern minds, it is very unbelievable. The reality is, at least in my mind, it probably isn't entirely factual. However, I must say, in my mind, it is true. It's a story that tells the tale of how a small, marginalized, fearful group of followers of a wandering rabbi who were who were scared to death about being associated with him for fear that they would end up being crucified just like him. This is tell of how they stopped hiding in the shadows and began actually living by his teachings. In a world where folks who claim to be Christian storm the Capitol building, intentionally marginalize others, celebrate toxic masculinity, turn a blind eye to things like gun violence and affordable health care and equal rights. Well, in that world, a story of a group of folks who start actually following the teachings of Jesus could certainly prove to be informative. I would argue that at its core, this less than factual story is a story about how a group of people decided to live into their beliefs, to live their lives on fire, so to speak, to actually live as though they believed and valued the lessons of that wandering rabbi taught. It is a story of people finding the courage to risk being who they say they are. And as I said, in times like this, that is certainly a valuable lesson, regardless of how factual the story is or isn't. Of course, nobody knows. No one knows exactly what happened that day in that room. Personally, I don't think tongues of fire actually appeared over anyone's head. And I also don't happen to think that people started speaking in all kinds of strange languages. My guess is that those things are simply meant to be taken as metaphors. If I had to venture a guess about that day and the events leading up to it, I'd imagine that after their teacher's death, they were very afraid